Now it's time to be discussing the big stories that are happening in the news today.
Yes, indeed. To help us do that, the Rodgers and Hammerstein of the Morning View, Matthew Wright and Gyles Brandreth join us. Morning, chaps. Lovely to have you with us. OK, let's start with the first. Prince William yesterday became the first seen at Windsor to address allegations made by Harry and Meghan in the explosive Oprah Winfrey interview. Let's take a quick look.
Sir, have you spoken to your brother since the interview?
No, I haven't spoken to him yet, but I will do.
And can you just let me know, is the royal family a racist family, sir?
No, we're very much not a racist family.
So, Matthew, what do you make of the Duke's response?
Well, I didn't expect him for 1 minute to turn around and say, yep, we're a racist family. So I don't think he really had anything, he couldn't say anything else under the circumstances. I think far more telling, really, is that first line that he hasn't spoken to Harry. One would have thought that Meghan would have raised her concerns about how she felt her skin colour was making her perhaps unwelcome to some people within the royal household, because that's what she's told us. And it seems that Prince William may have done much better to have addressed Meghan's concerns at the time and assuaged them, and got them to go away, reassured her, given her the reassurance she needs, rather than end up in this hideous situation. I bet Prince Andrew can't believe his luck.
Gyles, what's your take?
Well, my take this morning now is thinking, what a scoop the world has missed. If only they'd chosen the right interviewer on Monday. If only they'd gone to the English Oprah and had Alison doing it. By now, it would all have been, the whole family would have been knocked together. They'd all be falling about laughing with one another.
Exactly.
Because frankly, that's what it needs. It needs the people to be together and just realize that all this is too much nonsense. Fundamentally, we're family. Let's try and get on. As for, I'm trying now to send subliminal signals. I hope you're noticing my rather smart double Windsor knot here, because I know that's how it's now done. You send signals. And apparently, William and Harry have exchanged texts, we are told, since Monday, but maybe they're letting the dust settle before they have a conversation. But I've been reflecting that the royal family has been going since before 1066. We've had 1,000 years of it. And during the Wars of the Roses, people within the same family ended up killing one another. So that maybe this little transatlantic standoff isn't too bad. We'll all cope. In the fullness of time, I hope it all settles down and life can continue.
Yeah, me too. A bit of a sad story now. The disappearance of Sarah Everard has sparked huge conversation online about the different attitudes men and women have towards personal safety. Gyles, can you explain a little bit more?
It's not a bit of a sad story. It is the saddest story you can imagine. It is the most horrific thing, the murder of this young woman. It's every parent's nightmare, of course. And what it's highlighted is that it's every woman's fear walking down the street. I have 2 daughters and I have a wife, and they've confirmed with me, and I have a teenage granddaughter, and they've confirmed to me that all their lives, my wife going back now many years, walking down a street, particularly at night, a dark street. Well, you don't walk down a dark street, but walking down any street, you're apprehensive when you feel someone may be behind you. You don't know who it is. And men can't be aware of this. I hope thoughtful men are aware of it, but you can't actually walk in somebody else's shoes. And what this has brought about is a conversation, and it's a good conversation to be having. In the wake of this tragedy, we have to think, how do we make people, everybody, feel safe in our streets?
Yeah, Matthew, I mean, sorry, Alison.
No, it's all right. I was just going to say it's about education, isn't it? And I suppose I'm a parent to a boy, a young man now, he's 16 years old. I suppose it's about having that conversation with your child to know, so that they know how sometimes their presence can make someone feel at particular times and where. Would you agree, Matthew?
I agree, but with some caveats. I had a terrible time as a victim of violence growing up in Croydon and South London in the 80s and 90s. I was picked on routinely because I dressed in a sort of flamboyant or effeminate way. And I was told by the police at the time to learn self-defense, to dress differently, all things that I hear women today saying, they shouldn't be expected to do. you're still more likely to be killed, murdered as a man than as a woman. As in domestic violence, you're more likely to be murdered as a woman than as a man. Victims, I think that you're most likely as a male, young black male, to be a victim of violence on the street. So, yes, this is appalling, especially as Sarah had done everything that people say you should do to try and keep yourself safe. But the trouble with sort of violence on the street is that it affects all of us. I don't walk around the streets feeling massively confident in certain areas. I wish I could. Nobody should walk around in fear. I tell my wife when she walks around, hide her engagement ring, don't get her phone out. Things you shouldn't have to do, but things maybe we have to do to keep ourselves safe. It's horrible, and my thoughts go out to Sarah's family and friends.
Alison, what's your take? Because yesterday I went online a bit and I just saw the hashtag not all men, and obviously that completely misses the point, because that should be taken as read. This isn't about women changing their behaviour. Women shouldn't have to change their behaviour to go out. Like you said, it's about education. You would like to think that men of a certain age and a certain responsibility don't need to be educated. But so where does it start? Because
I think it starts when your child's quite young, to be fair. Aidan's a teenager, you know, I will always say, walk a girl home. Not that he's got a girlfriend yet, because he hasn't, but I will tell him, you know, walk a girl home when you can. If you do see someone in front of you, a lady in front of you, maybe just cross over the road. Like, personally, I've felt that adrenaline rush when you think you're being followed. Yeah. When you think, I've walked across the road and someone has followed me across the road. I've got a little bit faster and that person has got faster. And I'm telling you, you think you're going to die. Yeah. You think you're going to die, and it's one of the most awful, scariest, and it could be nipped in the bud literally by someone just crossing the road.
Right, and as the guy with me and my friends have talked about this, is when you are on the street, you're walking home, and there's a woman walking on the same street, you cross the road, you get into the light, you make sure that they know you are not a threat. You get your phone out, you do anything it takes to make sure that they know you're not a threat.
It's just a sad state of affairs that we still have to feel like that. Sorry, guys, you're supposed to be doing the talking here. We're getting carried away here.
But Alison, seriously, you're the person we should be hearing from out of the four of us.
Well, I'll be honest with you, as I've got bigger, now that I put a jacket and a hat on, people are scared of me, so I have to be aware as well. Gyles?
But no, what you were saying is so sensible. You're saying to us, be thoughtful, not threatening. That's essentially what you're asking men to be.
That's all it is.
Be more thoughtful, and then you'll be less threatening. And we've got to learn from that. We really have.
I worked in an office where they had a sign in the lifts. It was lots of companies sharing the high-rise building, and one of the banks there was told that if you were a male and we're in there's a group of people in the lift and they all get out and you find it's just you and a woman, then in the lift alone, then they suggested that you as a male should leave. That's one way of approaching it. I'd like to think that we can work together, male and female, men and women, to ensure each other's safety. I thought what Dermot just said there about crossing the road and being aware, that's really good.
It's just listening. As men, it's just listening to you.
Yeah.
OK, next up. Today marks the easing of some lockdown restrictions in some parts of the UK. So obviously this is like the offset, or the upshot rather, down the line of devolved government, because Wales and Scotland are easing restrictions. So, for example, Scotland, from today, up to 4 adults from 2 different households are now able to meet in outdoor space. In Wales, stay at home as of tomorrow becomes stay local. Obviously, devolution is a good thing, but at the same time, this comes with a bit of confusion, I suppose. Matthew?
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think devolution is an excellent thing. And Boris Johnson at one point wasn't he? We were doing zonal lockdowns all across England, Scotland and Wales, and I don't think that worked particularly well. I think more than anything is the sense now that the vaccination programme is working well, the endless frustration of people who've been locked up for a year or more, particularly those who sort of shielded or self-isolated. And then I go across the park every day to walk the dog, and I know that in England we're not supposed to have team sports for a while yet, and there are people playing football, people having picnics, people having a nice time. I'd like to think that most people are following the rules, but deep down I suspect that a growing, significant proportion of the population is just getting on with their lives now.
Yeah. We've got some great news, guys. The star of Bridgerton himself is going to be reading CBBS bedtime stories for Mother's Day. I mean, could life get any better? Let's have a look at this. Ooh,
wow.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I say, I'm getting a little under the collar, chaps.
That is going to be great. I'm definitely tuning in. I'll tell you that now.
Gyles, I'd like to see you do one of these.
Well, I would. Well, but he's got his kit on, which is a little bit surprising. I mean, given the little bits of Bridgerton I've seen, it's a far cry from Kenneth Williams on Jack and Norrie or Bernard Cribbins doing the stories that I remember. But nonetheless, I'm ready to be tuned in.
Yeah.
Matthew, will your kids be watching?
Anything but Mr. Tumble, quite frankly. I think worry. I could be driven to hit all manner of hideous crimes if I see any more Mr. Tumble. So bring Reggae on. He's a good-looking boy, isn't he?
Oh, he is.
Yeah,
He is.
brilliant. Thank you, chaps.
See you later.
Yes, yeah.